Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This media show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Once Upon a Time, a phenomenal episode. This episode being the winter finale, and it's so good. So many amazing things went down in this episode. So many reveals, so many twists and turns. It's so good. I love it when this show can continue to surprise me. We're in season 7 and the show is so good at still throwing curveballs your way, and there were plenty of them in this episode. A lot of like interesting developments, and just like obviously there's some things that I kind of felt like, obviously like Zelina pops up in this episode. And was not surprised about that. I did love the fact is that when she got her memories back, she's like, "Oh my god, I was made into a hipster, and I'm running a pedaling class." I even love when she was doing it. She's like, "Go ahead, ride my little flying monkeys." I'm like, ah. And I figured it had to be Zelina because it's like, okay, who else besides like, who would like dislike Regina that much? And that she was talking about, oh yeah, this person who I'm about to go see hates me. And I was like, who would? I was like, oh, it has to be Zelina. But what's so interesting, and it's something I didn't even think about at the time because I almost forgot because it doesn't come up that often. It's the whole aspect of when the curse is broken for characters, they remember everything as both their cursed self and as who they really are. So in Regina's case, she has all her memories as Ronnie and all of her memories as Regina, so when she was talking about Zelina, she wasn't talking about Zelina, she's talking about Kelly Zelina, who, you know, Zelina is underneath the curse. Like, oh, they have a problem. And the fact is they're not even related, which I forgot that it tore apart connections like that. But it's like, yeah, I guess it makes sense. Like, the whole point is to keep everyone separated, no happy ending, happily ever afters and stuff like that. But it still never crossed my mind to think, oh yeah, that it doesn't just work on like keeping people, the point is to keep people separate. And it took till now to make me realize just like what that means in its entirety, but I'll get to that soon enough. But the reason I was bringing that up too is like because like the whole like, oh, they remember things, it didn't come up that often. Like I remember it playing a part in season 2 because like I would definitely remember like Prince Charming being like so pissed at himself because he's like, yeah, David hurt the woman I love because of the whole like David and Mary Margaret kind of affair situation, like sneaking behind David was sneaking behind his wife's back to be with Mary Margaret, and it's like, oh yeah, like David was a coward. So it's that situation of like he had all his memories as David, but also his memories as Prince Charming, which kind of gets a little, you know, with the whole David situation because his real name is David, and not just his curse name was David. It turns into that whole situation. But nevertheless, I completely forgot that was an angle until now. I was like, right, that was totally a thing. I don't remember it coming up that often. Maybe it did. You know, season 2 was a season that it kind of like readjusted to everything, which is kind of interesting. Because to me, this episode also did an interesting thing where it's like so much is like cut through. I mean, you immediately go to Gisela being captured and turned to stone. She's already about ready to enact her curse. It's like, oh, what? Lucy's already born. It's like, we're cutting through a lot of stuff. And I was like, that's so interesting. Because immediately my brain is like, wait, Lucy's unconscious. She's in a coma and everything. I was like, so we're doing season 1, but even like fast. I was like, oh, we're cutting through even more. Because in my mind, I was like, okay, so what's going to happen is season 1, at the end, like, I was thinking at the end of this winter finale, everyone's going to remember everything. And season 2 was going to be, the second half of the season was going to be more like season 2. I thought they were going to like, because obviously this season is kind of a reflection of season 1, kind of very similar, but obviously going about different ways with different characters, different stories, different connections, stuff like that. I thought it was going to be something like that. And then the second half would be kind of more like season 2 of everyone readjusting, but it's like, no, that's not the case. It is like that, but it's like, it's done in a different way, which I really appreciate because it's not them doing it blow by blow, because this is very different because Lucy's already in a coma situation. Henry didn't get like that to the tail end of season 1, so it's very different. And obviously things aren't working the same way because, I mean, just, you know, Henry tried True Love's Kiss, but it didn't work because Lucy didn't believe. At the time, it worked differently because Henry believed when Emma believed, so that's why that True Love Kiss worked and broke the curse. It's not going to work in this situation. So, the whole Robin situation, that was kind of crazy. Isn't that the actress who plays Polly on Riverdale? Is that why she's not in Riverdale that much? Is that just what they kind of did? They're like, oh yeah, Polly, she's away for right now. It's, oh, she had to come film some stuff as Robin from Once Upon a Time. I was wondering if that was because that looks like that's the actress, not unless it's like I'm completely mistaken. She looks very similar to her, but I couldn't quite tell. At first I was like, is that her? It might be. But we have Robin being 25 now, which once again throws that whole time, like it's even a joke that Regina says. She's like, I'm not here to talk about timelines and stuff like that. And it's like, because like everyone's aged so differently, because it's like, in my head, I associate Henry as being 28. He's probably not 28. The only reason why I think he's 28 because the whole savior situation. Emma was 28 when she became the savior. Gideon returned into the storyline as an adult when he was 28, you know? So it's that whole situation. So it's like Henry's probably older than that. But then again, it's a whole situation. Well, different people in different places age differently. I mean, I'm not even 100% sure how old Henry was before the time skip, before like he went off on his own to do his, you know, follow his own story. So, and I think that's kind of the point. They're like very vague because the whole timelines work the way they do. So time doesn't work the same. So maybe he actually is 28 and just because he's in different realms, he doesn't age the same way or something. I don't know. I mean, to be fair, his mom has looked exactly the same for a very long time. She's looked that way since Snow White was a little girl. So it's kind of like, you know, it's one of those situations. Once again, don't waste time talking about timelines. But that's so interesting. Also about this whole situation, and it's another element that I feel like never came up with the original curse either, is while they're under this curse, like Zelena as Kelly, she actually is in love. She's about to get married, and it's like, holy crap. So, like, there is a dual side to this whole curse situation. I'm so interested to see where that goes, too, because for her, it's like, I mean, how can I be with someone and lie to him? Because she knows this whole thing. She knows who she really is now and everything, but she also has her memories as Kelly, and this is a man that she actually loves, and it's like, oh, Zelena hasn't found love in a long time. The last time she found love, and it was with Hades, and as we know, things didn't end well there. So... And it's also interesting, too, like, to be fair, they ended on good terms, too, Zelena and Regina, but to see them where they are now, too, it's like, they're super happy to see each other and everything, and it's just like, it's so crazy to think about. I mean, even when they met up again, like, when Regina went to her help, to Zelena for this whole curse situation, help with it, and it's just like, they're automatically on good terms. And the line that came out Zelena's mouth of being like, you know, hey, we got to protect our family no matter what else. You know, this whole wedding situation is one thing, but hey, that's what heroes do. Put your family first. Like, I love characters who, like, it's so crazy and weird to think about it. Because the whole, like, Regina situation has been, like, a very long journey. Zelena hasn't been down that road for too long. She's come and going when it comes to that road of being the good guy, the bad guy. But it seems like she's on a straight and narrow, too, with her sister. So many things to kind of bring up. Okay. So now that whole situation, like, I was wondering about certain things, and now it kind of makes sense. Because once again, it's something I didn't even think about, the whole connection thing. This curse is meant to break people apart, but it's like, huh, yet Lucy and Jacinda, or Ella, no, like, you know, that connection is there. Lucy is still her daughter. So I was like, okay, so what's going on there? It seems because Hook originally got something from Rumpel that make it so that even if they're in this new world, their memories are gone of each other, they will still have that connection, that Alice will still be his daughter. But then I was like, huh, but you don't know her, so what's up with that? And it's like, because he gave it to Ella so that her and Lucy will always be connected. Because if they didn't have that, Lucy could be somewhere else as someone else. Like, she could be someone else's daughter. So hence why in this world, it's like their mother and daughter, and why Jack is in fact, you know, her dad in this world, just because, like, the connection was only for, I guess it can only work on two people. It can't do more. So it couldn't do Henry and Henry and Ella and Lucy. So, like I said, there's a lot we're going to have to get filled in on, because it was like a cut forward of like, okay, we hitting these major plot points. We'll get back to some more major ones later on, like when the show returns and everything. Obviously, dive into that later. But, like, for one example is Rumpel isn't Rumpel anymore. Like, he isn't the Mr. Gold Rumpel. He's Rumpelstiltskin, the Dark One again. And it's like, even I was like, wait, what? I was like, the last time we saw him pop up in this world, he was Rumpel. He was just himself, you know? And it's like, how did he do that? And then Alice is like, no, I got to stick by him because, like, he sacrificed for me. And it's like, oh, so that's why in the other world, there's that connection between them, that even though they don't know it, they know and feel this connection on some level, because there's a little bit of who they are on the inside drawing them to this person. I guess arguably you could say the same thing for Hook and Eloise because of their connection. Not necessarily, it's not the connection that Killian knows it to be. Like, he just feels like, I got this pull, I got to find, you know, Eloise, not realizing, well, that whole connection to Eloise, the person he's really supposed to be looking for is Alice, and she's right there in front of him, and he just doesn't realize it, you know? So So it's like, what happened for him to go back to being the Dark One? It seems like he's making deals again and everything. So, like I said, there is a lot we are not getting, because there's already, like I said, they literally cut from like Lucy being born to her 8 years later, already 8 years old, because that's when the curse is going to be enacted. And like I said, already up to him and Jacinda being officially in a couple and then having a baby. Like, we skipped over a crap ton. And then that's included. And then there's also the whole Victoria thing of like, she actually helped put Drizella in stone. And it's like, wait, we're working together? I know it's like the lesser of two evils, because it doesn't really help out her situation either. But it's just like, she was so hell-bent on trying to get Anastasia back, but now you're working with her. It's like, what happened to her in those 8 years between Lucy being a baby and her being 8? And then like, what about that whole, like, even before then, like, you helping? It's like, I mean, sure, it benefited her, but it's like, how did we get to that? It's like, there's so much we're missing with this. It's just fascinating. But obviously, like, so many things. One, it wasn't actually Victoria who enacted the curse. It wasn't even Drizella. Apparently it was Regina who activated the curse, because the whole point was to make Victoria think that she enacted the curse, that basically everything that's happening is part of her plan, by part of her design, when in actuality it's Drizella. Because I was wondering about, it's like, how did it makes sense now? Because it's like, why does Drizella remember? It's like, well, duh, Drizella remembers because she created the curse in the first place, which is kind of interesting. I guess because the curse was designed with her and Gothel in mind for it not to affect him. Because I was about to say, because technically Regina activated it, which is kind of interesting. Like, because I brought it up earlier, I was like, so what's the curse for the what's the key ingredient for the curse? Because the original curse, it's like, you need the heart of the person you care about most. And in that case, for Regina, it was her dad, Henry. So he was kind of the key component. And I was like, what is it in this one? This one, the key component is the blood of a witch who has crushed the heart of someone that she loves. Regina being the key ingredient in this situation. I'm like, that's crazy. And the reason why Regina had to make the curse was because Henry was sick. So I figured as much, that obviously this has something to do with Henry in particular, but it seems like it has to do with her entire family, the way Drizella makes it sound. But it seems more so than anything, it's but I guess because if Henry, like, if they break the curse, Henry will die, but that will mean like everyone, it will break everyone that's associated. It will break Lucy's heart. It will break Jacinda or Ella's heart. So it's not the curse I thought it was. I thought it was that curse that brings a connection. So maybe there's still something like that. But so far, it just seems like, no, Henry's just plain out old sick. It's basically, while being in this world with no magic, the curse doesn't affect him. So the whole point was to push Regina to it, because this would prevent her from ever wanting the curse to be broken, because it would mean that Henry would die. And that kind of puts her in a tough position, because now, like, Lucy's in the state that she's in, so it's either save Lucy, but if you save Lucy and break the curse, Henry dies. But if you keep Henry alive, that means Lucy would die. And it's like, that sucks. So basically, Regina has to basically choose between saving her son or saving her granddaughter. That's not a decision. That's not a choice. That's so messed up. And there's also, I almost like completely was skipping over an interesting plot point, that basically they were going to kind of do a situation that Charming and Snow did for Emma, the whole special wood cabinet. They were going to do that, but sadly Henry didn't have time to do it. But I guess that was kind of like their backup plan, because there was a moment where Jacinda was like, are we really making the right choice? And it's like, this is for her sake as well as all of ours. Because it was supposed to be a situation like Emma's, where it's like Lucy goes, or the point was for Lucy and Henry to go, so they could slowly track down everyone that's important to them and make them remember who they are. So there's that, but never got a chance to fully craft that out. I really would have been curious to see how that whole thing worked out. I mean, especially because we know how it worked out the first time. Well, that's because it was, Geppetto kind of lied and secretly put, Pinocchio in there with her, and that situation turned in the way it did. So, but the point this time was to make sure that Henry could go, like, because we're not going into this with a lie being like, oh, only fit one person, and actually can fit two. So there's that whole thing, but it doesn't even work, it doesn't even come to that, sadly. So, and I really like what they did. They basically showed you the little, cut of season 6's finale, where it showed you Lucy and Henry. I just love that they kind of refresh your memory, like, oh, remember this? This is what you saw before in season 6's finale. Now we got more context to it and everything. Once again, still not the whole story because a lot of it's been cut away, but still, nevertheless. And another thing I meant to bring up is how creepy and more sinister the curse looks this time. Because each time, like, the curse has just been black smoke. At least, you know, with Regina's and the Black Fairies, I think there was no difference. To be fair, it was just kind of like the same curse. This is a brand new curse, so I guess they designed it differently. But it looks so much more sinister with the red mixed in. Like I said, to my recollection, the one with Regina was pure black, like the Fairies was. But like I said, this was mixed in with red. It kind of reminds me of Chernobog, you know, from the whole Mickey Mouse, Yen Sid musical thing. That's immediately what it makes me think of. I mean, I reference that, but more so than anything, when I think Chernobog, I think Kingdom Hearts 1, which he was also in a different one too. I think it was Dream Dot Distance he was in one. Nevertheless, that's immediately where my mind goes. Like I said, it just seems so much sinister and much more evil. I don't know whether that was just like a stylistic choice to kind of differentiate between the different curses, just because like the Black Fairies curse was very basically Regina's, and this one is like Regina plus, you know, with a lot of contingencies and a lot of other stuff set up, because obviously it takes different ingredients too, so it is a very different curse, but a lot of the same lines apply. So I just thought that was kind of interesting, just kind of wanted to include that as well. So then there's also the possibility that in actuality Anastasia might be the Guardian, because she was able to pick out which one of the weapons was a dagger. She knew that they weren't really the dagger, and she's the real Dark One's dagger. And so it's like, we got to protect her from Gothel and Anastasia. I mean, Drizella, which Drizella tried to kill her by taking her magic first. But then it's like, oh no, that wasn't part of Gothel's plan, which is like, you should have listened to your mom. For the very beginning, your mom was like, you know she's only using you. But Drizella's caught up in her own situation of disliking her mom, being motivated so much by revenge that she's not willing to see what's right before her. And I love that line from Zelena and Regina, who walk up and say, oh, you're still dealing with mommy issues. And Zelena's like, yeah, we wrote, like, basically we did that first. It's like, you're so last year. We wrote the book on mommy, like, witches with mommy issues, you know? So I like that touch. I mean, that might potentially be. God, I didn't even think so hard about those connections. Two sisters, both having magic, and terrible, quote unquote, terrible mom. But then it's kind of like they weren't always bad. Like Cora wasn't always bad, just like Victoria wasn't always bad because she was Rapunzel. But it's just situations pushed her to. You know, it was jealousy that pushed Rapunzel, like feeling like she lost her daughters. And then, you know, she just wanted her whole life back. She wanted her family back. So there's that. Whereas Cora was pushed by, like, you know, she wanted to ensure that her daughter, you know, she wanted to make sure that Regina kind of didn't care about Zelena at the time, but her daughter never has to grow up the way she did, that her daughter will always have a secure life. Like I said, no matter how messed up Cora went about things, in a twisted way, everything she ever did was because she loved Regina very much and just cared for her well-being. So, but it seems like Gothel's whole point was, because apparently this all deals with a coven that they're starting, a coven of 8 that includes Gothel, and now it seems that it includes Anastasia too, who is twice as powerful, because not only did she's the only one that actually has magic in this world. All of Drizella's magic was taken from her, so I'm curious, how does she, I mean, I guess it makes sense because her being in a coma and everything, all that magic accumulated inside of her upon the curse happening. So it's been resting inside of her the entire time. So she's been able to probably use magic the entire time, considering the fact is, so that's what I'm trying to remember. Like, does Rapunzel have magic? Victoria doesn't have, like, natural magic, does she? So it's like, how did they end up with magic? Well, to be fair, I don't think, well, I'm trying to remember that. I think like your family makes it so you have a natural affinity to magic. I don't think it guarantees that you'll have magic. I don't think it does. I mean, look at Emma and her family. Like Prince Charming nor Snow White actually has magic, but she's the savior and everything. So I guess that's something you don't have to necessarily apply in that case. But it's like Cora studied magic and both of her children ended up having magic. So I think it's I guess it's like a coin toss or something like that. But nevertheless, so I guess that just means that Anastasia is twice as powerful as what I was getting to. And now Gothel is trying to recreate her coven, her family. That's what this is all about. Which it seems like obviously we don't, and they did such a beautiful thing too. It's like we don't know what the other 6 witches look like that are part of this coven. We don't know what they look like. And so the whole point is going forward, they're going to be searching for them. And like what this whole like that symbol that Eloise drew, like what the importance of it is, it represents their coven. So they're probably all the different sisters of this sisterhood are underneath that curse. And so they got to track them down underneath this curse to figure out like, oh, who they really are, kind of bring their memories to life, which is like, why would Anastasia work with Gothel, even though she's kind of scared of Gothel? But I guess maybe it's that situation of like, oh, no one else is here for you. I'm here. I'm looking out for your well-being. But it's like, why would Anastasia really work with Gothel or trust her is the question. And well, it sucks because like Drizella, all her plans basically came down to nothing. She has no magic. She got thrown at the bottom of a well with her mom. And it's just like, it's one of those situations, like even Regina told you, revenge does nothing for you. She tried to circumvent it and make it so that you didn't learn from her mistake. Like it took years for Regina to kind of learn about the like revenge meaning nothing. And sadly, it didn't reach Gisella's ears because, you know, she still went through with her revenge and everything. So, and that was basically put her in a situation that it's put her in. So, especially because I'm curious because Anastasia doesn't 100% know about like what was the cause of her waking up. She still doesn't know that it's Lucy is the reason why she woke up. So I'm curious to know when the truth comes out. Like my thought was, oh, Anastasia will kind of hit Anastasia. She'll be like, whoa, I got to do something. I got to make it up to this girl. She's the reason why I'm alive. I have to do something. But once again, that also like you have Zelena and Regina talking about the fact that they need to get their magic back, which involves breaking the curse and everything. But once again, how do you break the curse when Lucy doesn't believe? There's so many layers to this entire situation. It is so freaking cool, dude. I legitimately was losing my cool because even during commercial breaks, I had to pace around because I was like, this is so awesome. Like I said, this show, even after 7 seasons, can still surprise me. Can still just hit you with enjoyment. Like, that's so amazing. Oh, right, I completely forgot, too. Robin and Alice. The true love right there. Which is so interesting, because that means we're heading in the direction of Hook. It's funny and weird in the sense of, because that would mean that Wish Hook would become family to Regina, even though he technically already is, because technically, I mean, he's, you know, Henry's stepdad, and there's already that connection, so it's like, it's so funny when you actually think about that. Now she'd be family with the other Hook too, with that case, that being her niece and everything, so I'd almost let that slip my mind. I was like, holy crap. It's just, to me, that's just something funny to think about. Which the fact of the matter is, we haven't seen hide nor hair of her actually in this world. Because Elena kind of brought her up under the curse of Kelly. But then again, it's like, she couldn't have actually been talking about Robin as her daughter. Because, like I said, the connections are broken. Like, the only reason why Jacinda has Lucy is because of that item that Hook got from Rumple, which he was going to use for him and Alice, but that's why they don't recognize or know each other. And because it's also explained why like everything played out the way it did with when Tilly was off her meds and was kind of remembering being Alice, which I'm wondering, is it just because it's Alice that it worked like that? Because I guess because of her, like, not unless it was something that Victoria had specifically made for her. Because it's like, why is it, because the curse lapses, but not to that degree. Like, obviously, there's certain aspects of, like, when Henry went to visit his wife and child's graves, they weren't there. And it's like, wait, what? And then next time he goes, oh, they are there. So it's a situation of, like, it seems like the curse lapses in some areas the moment you start believing more. But it's like, why did, like, Alice/Tilly situation work like that? The more less medicated she was, the more that kind of like slipped through who she really was. I don't know. Like I said, a phenomenal episode. I cannot wait to see where we go from here. Sadly, we will be waiting a while because the show won't be returning until March 2nd, which is so frustrating, but I'm so excited to see where like the rest of this season takes us. This was such a good episode. It's such good setup for the future too. Like so much is on the line. So many connections. So many interesting twists and turns that I cannot wait to see how it all plays out. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.